In this part of my adventure in Honduras and Guatemala, you'll find me getting stranded halfway through my journey.
Yeah, there's no way I can get there in time. I'll see you when I finally get somewhere to sleep.
Meeting a boss with his doppelganger on the wall.
Sí.
And finding out that there is actually an additional meal between breakfast and lunch.
Desayuno 7. Ah, entonces. ¿Sí? Oh, cena 7. Muy tarde también. Ah, claro, yo entiendo ahora por qué me...
After a few days of fun in Copan Ruinas, it is finally time to move on to Guatemala, and I decided to forego the expensive and non-authentic way of taking a private transfer to my desired city, Antigua, and instead I wanted to go on the local transports. But after an extensive search online, I couldn't find any records of people doing this journey, so after a few rounds of asking locals, I was presented with this crazy plan. In order for me to get to Antigua, first I need to take a colectivo to the frontera, the border, and then cross by foot. And then small buses are supposed to take me to the town of Chiquimula. After that, I switch onto a bus going into Guatemala City. And eventually I'll find my way to the other side of the city and then take another chicken bus into Antigua de Guatemala. This 300-kilometer journey normally would take about 4 to 5 hours in any other part of the world. But here in Central America, it is gonna take more than 12 hours. And it was 10 o'clock, so wish me luck.
And I'm now here between the two nations, Honduras to my right and Guatemala to my left. They still cleared the entire forest. Now there's corn in it. And on the other side, it's a similar situation. Yeah, it's cleared. You can see all the way to the top of the mountain. Honduras now to my left, Guatemala to my right. So there's the entrance, the exit of Honduras. And here apparently is the entrance of a combined immigration office. And right back there, they took my temperature. Yeah, it can easily be missed. Like, I would have totally walked across the border just by going through there if I don't notice this. And I'll be in big trouble when I leave Guatemala.
20 minutes later.
Welcome to Guatemala. Yes. Now after, a relatively easy process, I'm now all the way through. And I thought I can get a bus from here in the border all the way to Chiquimula and perhaps all the way to Guatemala City, but apparently that's not an option. So now I'm on a bus to Guatan and then from Guatan to Chiquimula. So now today's 4-bus journey has just turned into 5. Yeah, it's gonna be an adventure for sure. Finally arrived at Chiquimula. The bus I've just taken was probably one of the most unpleasant ones I have ever had in my life. They had like 30 people crammed into a tiny van and there was barely any windows. It was 35 degrees and I'm gonna die. And I had to wear my mask, of course. So yeah, now I'm at the terminal, apparently in Chiquimula, one of the larger cities on the eastern side.
After locating the terminal and buying the ticket towards Guatemala City, I found lunch in a local hotel run by a very quirky boss.
Now here's David, and it's su abuelo, ¿sí? Su abuelo es David.
Sí, claro, muy bueno.
Ah, sí, parece muy... Sí, muy similares. Sí.
Muy bueno, gracias.
Okay, finally, in Guatemala City. Now I'm at this terminal thing, but apparently there's no bus directly to Antigua, so I have to figure something out. More adventure. Yay! It's getting really late. The sun is disappearing, so this is gonna be a lot of work. Okay, the situation got even worse. Apparently, I have to go into the city center to catch a taxi to go to a different terminal so that I can catch a different bus that can potentially take me to Antigua today. That was recommended to me by my friend. Gracias, amigo. Gracias. My friend, mi amigo, que me recomendó que hacer esto. My friend recommended me to do this. So I may not even reach Antigua today.
And nope, with the bus going at this speed, I wouldn't even reach Antigua by 2025.
3,000 years later.
Yeah, there's no way I can get there in time. I'm now in the center. Thank God I have found a hotel near the center beforehand. So, wow, the center is not as modern as I would have thought. This is Zona Uno, dead center of the city, but apparently, yeah, it's still a little bit less high rises than I would have thought.
As I began the surprise visit of Guatemala City the next morning, I quickly realized during the daylight hour, this city is completely different from my first impression last night. The streets were bustling with all kinds of commercial activities. Every shop was open and was welcoming all kinds of customers. It was even difficult to walk in the market set up beside the streets because it was just so many people. Gorgeous murals lined beside the streets in walls of abandoned buildings, put in a bit of color to this rather dull and a little bit run-down city. And yet on the opposite end of the spectrum, large modern Transmetro buses zoom past every single pedestrian, carrying dozens of commuters at a time and yet remained efficient and clean. And in the middle of all the hustle and bustle is the Plaza de la Constitución, facing Palacio Nacional de la Cultura, the famous National Culture Palace. It is famed as being one of the best pieces of architecture in the entire Central America. But sadly, on that day, I wasn't able to gain entrance because there was some kind of political celebration going on. But yet, it was very enjoyable even from the outside. And just a few blocks over was the Mercado Central, the central market. And it turned out to be the biggest surprise of them all.
¿Es tu niña? Hola. Sí, buenos días. Ay. Gracias. Hola. Hola. Hola, hola, ¿qué tal? Ay, perdón.
Quiero unos 6 huevos.
Hola. I'm now here at this tiny shop that they call Antojito, and apparently it is one of the places that you can have meals between meals. They have one between breakfast and lunch, and they have another one between lunch and dinner because people here wake up very early and they eat dinner very late, so they need to have a little bit of pick-me-up in between. And now I'm visiting one of these tiny little shops, and the owner lady was very nice to me. And she even offered me some free food and also like let me take a look around her shop and explain to me every single dish. Hola! 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 This is Betty and I'm really glad that I am able to connect with a lot of locals here in a city that supposedly even have very few tourism and even less reputation. But you can see this market is very safe, it's very clean, and everyone's very nice to me. ¿Qué es esto?
Esto es panza de marrano.
Panza de marrano. ¿Es cerdo o?
Cerdo.
Ah, esto de cerdo, ¿no?
Panza.
Panza. Ah.
Esta es de la vaca.
¿De vaca? De vaca. Ah, panza de vaca. Ah, claro.
Esta es patita de cerdo.
Oh, patita. Ah. Ay, qué loco.
Besides these small snack shops dedicated to refacciones, the market also have a lot of others to offer, ranging from full-on restaurants to a full floor dedicated to tourist souvenirs, probably for me and 1 or 2 other international visitors that day. That is because a vast majority of tourists will bypass the city center of Guatemala City and instead opt for a direct transfer from the Guatemala City airport to Antigua. So these shop owners probably won't see a foreign visitor a day, especially during this pandemic. But there are a lot of other interesting things on sale for locals as well, ranging from cheap brooms to imported fake ones and all the way to these beautifully decorated fruit bowls. And look, there's even a tiny church. And yet sadly, as much as I want to stay here and explore for the entire morning, I actually had to get to Antigua by noon. So I waved the lady goodbye and started asking for directions.
I'm now on the bus, and interestingly, here the buses have gone cashless. So the only way to get in is if you have a local transport card. But sadly, I don't have any. So I have to ask a local to basically pay the 1 quetzal fee for me, which is less than 20 cents US dollars. So he accepted my offer, but refused to take my money. And that just shows, you know, a lot of people, they're still very kind to outsiders.
Para mi gente, con una pasión tan fuerte. Ay, ahora sigo cantando y sigo gozando.
Sigo San Lucas hasta Antigua. Sigo Cero Valera del pensamiento Antigua.
Pasión tan fuerte. Ay, ahora sigo cantando y sigo gozando. Yo sigo cantando y sigo gozando.
So that's it for this part of my adventure in Honduras and Guatemala. In the next part, I'll detail all of those interesting things that happened to me in this unbelievable town of Antigua, such as me trying a raw chili pepper in the local market, watching a volcano explode, and that's pretty much about it. Ha, psych! Also exploring ancient ruins, watching beautiful clouds, going to Hobbiton, and oh yeah, someone pointed a gun at me. So if you want to stay tuned for the newest parts, make sure you subscribe to my channel. And if you like this video, make sure you click the like button and check out some of these other parts of this series, and I'll see you in Antigua.